champion sound. Yeah, Estelle, we about to get down. Who the hottest in the world right now? Just touched down in London town. Bet they give me a pound. Tell them put the money in my hand right now.
Hello everyone, it's the Axel Shifter here, and we are back with another Multiverse Wars episode number 49. And today, this is going to be a battle between two guitarists who beat everything and everyone up thanks to the power of music. This is Chai from Hi-Fi Rush versus Eddie Riggs from Brutal Legend. We're going to be seeing which one of these guys who has a superpowered guitar would win in a fight against each other. And so, yeah, without further ado, let's not waste any more time, and let's discuss who would win this fight. Chai is a 25-year-old man who, despite his disabled arm and late start, dreams of someday becoming a rock star. A golden opportunity falls into his hands when it prestigious Vandelay Technologies announces Project Armstrong, a cybernetic enhancement project that promises to restore his arm and help him achieve his dream once and for all. But when his procedure goes awry, he is granted more than what he'd asked for. He then gains the power to make the whole world move around him, move perfectly to the beat of his music. But then he is labeled as a defect and hunted by Vandelay Technologies, and he is forced to reunite with a ragtag group of rebels, which he uses his power to uncover the conspiracy behind the Project Armstrong and dark secrets behind Vandelay Technologies. But now that you know about his basic origins and pretty much story in Hi-Fi Rush, let's talk about his powers, abilities, and feats. Despite his appearance, Chai is actually very strong, as he is strong enough to lift massive enemy robots several feet in the air or just completely destroy them thanks to his guitar. He also has a high attack potency, which should range around the large building level plus range, as he is comparable if not somewhat inferior to Macron, who is capable of destroying massive portions of a massive statue and can even strike with enough force to launch massive robots at high speeds in the air, and is strong enough to destroy pillars that an arena was built on top of, and can even casually shatter massive portions of walls. And yeah, he can pretty much destroy heavy boss battles like this guy right here, for example, and even win them. He's also very fast, as he can react to QA-1 attacks and dodge his rockets, and with great speeds himself, and can even run at high speeds thanks to his little dash ability, and can even be really strong when it comes to striking strength, as he can punch robots several feet across him and even just knock them down essentially with one punch or two hits. And as for his durability, it is very impressive, as he can survive various different things, like different blows from different robots, being set on fire just by wiggling around and putting the fire out. And yeah, he can even withstand QA-1 swipe attacks again, and being smashed through a massive safe door by Roofquat, who also punched through 6 walls in a row with an enemy, and even withstood a self-destruction from another robot, and causing a massive cannon to be flying several thousands of meters into a skyscraper. This proves that Chai is really impressive when it comes to his power overall. He also has pretty high stamina, as it easily ranges to superhuman, as he managed to non-lethally defeat Corsica, a fairly highly skilled fighter herself, by blocking all of her attacks, if most of them anyway, and can even keep up with after being severely hit by crippling attacks by Rekka's wrestling takedowns or electrocution, or once again, like I said before, being set on fire. And as for his range, it is pretty much standard. He does have his guitar to hold out his battles, and he also has the obstacle equipment like his wide variety of chips. He even has the health kick, which allows him to improve his healing, battery magnet, which includes the power by his batteries and his guitar essentially, and just overall energy. His parry helps allows him to create healing veils for successfully defending in combat. The invincible D parry, which turns Chai intangible for longer when successfully defeating a combatant, and many more. But as for his weaknesses, on the other hand, he does lack foresight, and he often makes poor decisions as a result, as he doesn't really think things through, and also he can only equip up to 5 chips at a time. He's also not very smart in general, as he is consistently portrayed as just being slow to catch up on obvious details, and is a pretty poor planner, and is also incapable of learning from mistakes most of the time. But overall, despite his imperfections, Chai is ultimately still a very dangerous opponent to face up against, and you really don't want to mess with him when it comes to fighting his friends, because in the end, despite his poor choices, he will somehow come up with a way to defeat you in the end. Eddie Riggs is the main protagonist of the Brutal Legend game, and he is considered to be the best roadie in the business. How, unfortunately for him, he works for the absolute worst heavy metal band of all time, Cabbage Boy. And I mean, who pretty much mixes heavy metal with rap and pop. Like, what the fuck, bro? What are you doing? But anyways, after an accident during a concert, Eddie was on the brink of death before a drop of blood fell on his belt buckle, which turned out to be a magical amulet that summons the spirit of Ormageddon, the eternal fire beast. And after killing most of the band members, Ormageddon teleports Eddie back in time to the Age of Metal, a world inspired by albums and lyrics. And after Eddie wakes up, he discovers that he is fully healed and immediately attacked by the Devilicious hooded demon followers. And in an effort to defend himself, Eddie picks up the nearest weapon he could find, an axe. He then picks it up and then throws the guitar at it, and after pretty much playing a few notes on the guitar, he realized that he can summon electricity and generate fireballs from his enemies in order to protect himself and defeat the enemies themselves. Then after this, he finds a girl named Ophelia, and after that they teamed up to escape the temple. But yeah, now that we discussed this really much story about the game, now let's talk about his powers, abilities, and feats, because I don't want to make this section way too long. Discuss about his character. It's not really what it's about who would win, so let's do it. First, we're going to be talking about Eddie's attack potency. Much like Chai, it does range around small building level, as he did fight against a giant metal spider queen, which was pretty powerful, and he still defeated her, and possibly higher, because he can bring it home a solo in guitar terms, and even summon a giant flaming blimp that explodes upon impact. As for his speed, it is fairly impressive, as it is superhuman. He is fast enough to keep up with other characters and dodge their attacks, and massively hypersonic attack speed by summoning lightning thanks to his guitar, and can dodge attacks from other enemies or bosses. As for his lifting strength, it is pretty athletic human per se. It's not really that impressive. I mean, he is strong enough to lift several speakers by himself, large ones in fact. As for his durability, it does once again range around small building level. He is durable enough to tank blows from enemies without dying or he eventually does die in fact of that, but still that's just a part of the gameplay and story. And he is pretty durable and can tank plenty of different things without getting tired and stuff. And by the way, his stamina is also pretty high himself, because he practically never gets tired throughout the game itself. And as for his standard equipment, he does have his axe, his guitar called a Clementine, the Deuce, which is basically his druid plow, and a few other notable attacks, such as his shocker, which allows Eddie's guitar to strum up to 5 times and summon quick bolts of lightning that can possibly stun enemies. His pyro allows Eddie to focus on playing a note that summons a fireball that blasts the enemies into the air. And then we have the Earth Shaker, which allows Eddie to jump into the air and place a massive cord that shades the ground as soon as he lands. It could even also affect the environment, as in brought down the roof of the temple and knocked out his enemies away's engines thanks to using by hanging chains. We also have the other builds, such as the Flash Pot, the Graham Slam, the Fire Cord, the Power Slide, Grabber, Rock Kick, Shock Bomb, Roman Candle, Guitar Solos, Summon Deuce, Anvil of Burden, Face Melter, Bring It On Home, Battle Cry, and the Call of the Wind. These different abilities allow Eddie to pretty much almost be unstoppable when it comes to attack potency, and ultimately gives him several different ways to take out his enemies in one way or another. He's also fairly smart, because he is capable of pretty much being smarter than most of the people in the Age of Metal, considering he was the first human to ever build a car there, and his intelligence is fairly average. But as for his weaknesses, on the other hand, Eddie can't play his guitar continuously because it will get warmer and warmer to the point where it becomes too hot and he can't play anymore. But despite all of that, Eddie still is proven to be a very worthy foe when it comes to fighting. So now it's time we get to see who would win this fight. Okay, so now that I've gone over both of these characters, it's time we talk about who would actually win this fight. And this is a very close battle, and it could really go either way depending on which situation these two are in or what kind of scenarios they get themselves into. But more often than not, in the end, I'm going to have to say that Chai will be the winner of this fight. Now, do you say that Eddie would win? That's perfectly fine. You could actually explain why you probably say Eddie would win. But here's why I would say Chai would end up winning more often than not. It's because that he is naturally much stronger when it comes to lifting strength and striking strength. He is strong enough to throw massive enemy robots with steel counter in the air and naturally knocks robots out of the way anyways thanks to his own natural strength alone, thanks to his cybernetic enhancements by his arm and his guitar weapon. He's also fast enough to react to dodge his rockets and pretty much be fast enough to dodge enemies' attacks as well. Now, the same thing can be said for Eddie. He is fast enough to dodge those things as well. But yeah, actually, Eddie is much faster because he is massively hypersonic thanks to his attacking speed by summoning lightning bolts from his guitar, while as Chai has no such ability. But he does have more abilities outside of that. He can heal, battery magnet, can parry health, parry charge, invincible D-parry, damage rebound D-parry, instant partner recharge, and pretty much call in any of his other partners like Peppermint, Corsica, Macron and stuff, or 808 the cat for battle, but this only happens in a short amount of time, so anytime he really much gets that, he ultimately gets tired in the end of that really a little bit. It only drains out his energy for a bit, but still. But really, though, Chai is ultimately just not really faster, but he is much stronger and more durable for stuff. He also has, both equally have the same amount of stamina as they can go on for a really long time. But ultimately, after a really long and hard-fought battle, I just think that Chai would end up winning this one. This is not a stomp by any means. This is going to be a really close battle. Both of these guys will put in their all in this. It's actually decently fair. But in the end, once again, for the last time, I would have to say that the winner of this battle is Chai.